How are Trump's tariffs affecting the price of cars in the US right now? Well, let's take a look at BMW. Their top-selling two models are the X5 and the X3, both of which are manufactured in the US. But remember though that Trump's tariffs affect both fully assembled vehicles and also the components that make up the car. But the X5 and the X3 are in a much better position. The price of a base X5 today is essentially the same price as it was back in November 2024, just a little bit more, and that could be a factor of inflation. Now, the third best-selling car for the BMW is the 4 Series, and that's in a much worse position. It's manufactured exclusively in Germany. So how has its price changed between today in April 2025 and November 2024? Well, surprisingly little, rising only a little, which again could be accounted for by inflation. It seems BMW is taking a wait-and-see approach to how this trade war will fall out, presumably putting leverage on the German government and the US government to see if they can come out to some sort of resolution. In fact, BMW have said that they will cover any tariff changes until May the 1st. If I were BMW, I'd also be slowing down the import of cars into the US right now. They can sell the inventory they already have in the country before the auto tariffs, but any cars that have come in after the auto tariffs will be subject to that 25% additional rate, plus presumably the 20% additional rate Trump announced on April the 2nd. The Lexus brand is in a tougher position. The most popular model is the RX that's produced in Japan and Canada. They've taken a similar tack, with the price remaining almost the same as it's been since the start of 2024. It's true that the tariffs between the US and Mexico and Canada have ramped significantly, but there's currently a stay on them which Ford, GM and Stellantis have negotiated, and presumably that's also helping Lexus with their RX. It'll affect expensive cars, but it will also affect entry-level cars as well, such as one of the cheapest, the Hyundai Venue that's produced in South Korea. Given almost no entry-level cars are produced in the US, Hyundai may choose to pass off all of the tariff increase onto US consumers, meaning US consumers are paying money to the US government, turning the tariffs effectively into a tax. They may choose to stop selling the car completely. They could, of course, decide to build a factory in the US to produce the Venue, but that would take a long time to implement and would result in cars costing more, because the reason why they decided to produce it in South Korea and places like India is because the labour's cheaper. They may choose to automate a US factory more to try to reduce the costs of producing it in the US, and of course they'll need to purchase US tools to fit out the factory, meaning there'll be more jobs for US workers. One problem with that though is when a part of a car is designed, for example a seat, is designed with the factory and the country it's going to be designed in mind. So for example, if it's built in China, it may have more manual labour associated with it to make it a cheaper design. And if it's manufactured in the US, it may have more automation because labour is more expensive, and so the design will factor in more automation. Well, existing designs have all that baked in, so it's harder to move those designs from somewhere like China or Mexico, for example, into the US because they're designed in a completely different way. If you go and look at videos from Monroe Associates, and I highly recommend you do, then they go into a lot of detail about exactly how manufacturers design these products so that they are designed for that particular market to assemble. But they will also have to get someone to pay for the factory that they're going to build. It wasn't part of their original production plans, and that cost will of course go into the price of any car that's produced in the US. Given the Trump auto tariffs and additional April 2nd tariffs apply not just to finished vehicles but to all parts down to the last nut and bolt, it's clear that prices for all cars, not just BMWs, Lexuses and Hyundais, are likely to rise in the USA. This is because either car companies will have to pay the tariff or they'll have to scramble to move production inside the USA. This will take time, and some car companies are running on razor-thin profit margins, so they'll have to pass on some or all of the increase until they've adjusted their supply lines. The Trump administration is betting the short-term pain will be worth it in the long term as more manufacturing returns to the US, increasing US jobs and prosperity. They hope this increased capacity will mean that they'll be able to export more. They're also saying that the US has been unfairly tariffed by other countries in the past by practices such as currency manipulation that have put the US at a disadvantage that Trump is now trying to redress. It may also be a negotiating tactic that will lead to the US getting something from these countries in return to reducing or removing the tariffs. After all, Trump is a businessman used to making deals to get what he wants. Although Trump loves a deal, negotiating with all the countries he's currently slapped tariffs on will be a lot of negotiating, so it's likely many of these tariffs will remain, certainly for the foreseeable future. Most economists say that these tariffs will, in all likelihood, put the US in a worse position in the short and long term. There's conflicting thinking on whether it will increase US inflation. The tariffs certainly are inflationary, as is lowering the unemployment rate if more manufacturing jobs come to the US. But lower demand for goods, if it comes to pass, will be deflationary, but will also impact the economy. Of course, it will make it worse. It's likely that this move will kick off reciprocal tariffs from other countries. This will effectively build a large trade wall around the US, which will mean people outside the US will prefer to buy goods that aren't American because US products will be more expensive. Having said that, this is all theory and opinion, and like many economic changes governments do, this will all be borne out in time. As with many things, time will tell. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. There are other videos on the right. This is just a quick video thought I'd get out to try and talk about what's going on right now, and I'll see you in the next video.